Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I am excited to show you guys how I'm going to be using this 4.6 liter motor that came out of a Ford truck to repair my Mustang motor. So let's get into today's video. First things first, for you guys that don't know about this build, this is my white and red Mustang that we are repairing the motor on to put it back in the vehicle and just beat the crap out of it. Stock form, no bunch of upgrades, no foolishness, just motor, gearbox, hit the road and call it a day. The issue we had with this motor was that the crankshaft was no good, and also we had a missing bearing and a spun bearing in it. So I'm going to be changing 2 pistons, 2 rods, and the crankshaft. That's where that spare motor comes in. Let's get into how I'm going to be fixing this motor with another used motor. Alright, so as we all know, this is the motor that came out of the Mustang. This rod had a spun bearing in it, so that's no more good. We're going to have to get rid of that rod, which is pretty easy to do. And I believe it's one of these two. I'll probably have to go watch the video to find out. One of these two, there was no bearing in the cap at all. So I'm going to be changing 2 of those pistons and rods just to get rid of the rod. And what we're going to be doing with this is they pulled this out of a truck. And I know it might look really bad, really weathered. It's been sitting outside, but it still shouldn't affect anything that we need off of this. We're only going to be using the crank and 2 of the pistons and rods, which should be fairly easy to swap over. I might use this oil pan as well and the dipstick tool because I need one for this build. But other than that, this motor was pulled out of a vehicle because it had a miss. So hopefully that miss was up in the head. Even if it was in the bottom end where one of the pistons might be bad, I'm going to be able to see that when I pull the pistons, so we don't have no issue there. So the theory behind what I'm going to be doing to fix this motor using this motor is something that Ford says you never should do. So let's get into that theory now. So the theory behind how I'm going to be using this motor behind me to fix this motor that came out of the Mustang is something that Ford says that you shouldn't do. But I actually want to make a video testing how long this method that I'm going to be using will last with constant abuse. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the crankshaft out of this motor, putting it in this 4.6 liter motor, and pretty much what we're going to be testing for is to see if those main cap bolts, are going to hold up because they are torqued to yield, which means we're going to be reusing those. We're going to be reusing the rod cap bolts. We're going to be reusing those main bearings, those connecting rod bearings, well, the good ones from this motor. And we're going to be using the oil pump from this motor because I know it was good. It was squirting out a lot of oil at the top end. And we're going to see how long this motor actually lasts just reusing all used bearings, all used connecting rod bolts, all used main cap bolts. And we're going to see how long we can actually beat on this thing in that form. I'm purposefully doing this to firstly save money, and secondly just to test it out and see how long will something like this last. Will I snap one of those main cap bolts? Will I snap a rod cap bolt? We're gonna see if we end up spinning bearings again. We're gonna see if you can actually take another used block to fix a destroyed block. So when I say destroyed block, like I said, we had a bad crankshaft, we had 2 bad rods. We're gonna use this motor to fix it. Well, alright guys, that is the plan for fixing my Mustang. We are going to be taking the crank and 2 pistons, 2 rods out of that motor, reusing the good bearings that we can find between the 2 motors. You know, you're going to be able to inspect them, see which ones are good, put it together, torque everything down, slap this thing back in the car, start it up, and just listen to see if we get any knocking noises or any issues. If not, right out the gate, I'm going to be beating this thing horrible to see when it breaks, how many miles we're going to get off of it, and just what condition the motor is going to be in. If it does break and we pull it out, what is the actual weak point that failed when I used a crankshaft, pistons and rods out of another used motor and just bolted them right back down into this motor. So thank you guys so much for watching. The next few videos are going to be very, very interesting to see the results of if this is even possible, if it makes sense to do. Definitely, I'm doing this video for guys that want to save a buck, want to go in a junkyard, want to pull a motor, and don't want to swap the heads, because that is also an option. And they just want to swap the bad parts out of their block for the good parts in another block, and don't want to spend money on new bolts or new bearings, and just want to get on the road as soon as possible. So hopefully it works out fine. I don't think it will, because like I said, there's a reason why Ford says don't reuse those bearings, don't reuse those bolts. But we are going to find out what is the actual failure point in those blocks when you reuse those bearings and when you reuse those bolts. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Always remember, don't drift without your dreams, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.